tell me what it was like to be a Navy SEAL.
I mean, it's a job, right? It's the best job I ever had. It's hard for me. When I was in, there wasn't many African Americans in the SEAL teams, and it just kind of, I didn't have any mentorship, so that made it tough. But, for 2 years, it was the best job in the world. So, everybody thinks it's a sexy job or an awesome job, but it's the grimiest, dirtiest job you could have in the world.
Really? I would have never thought that. I guess I'm one that kind of glorified it too.
Yeah, because you spend, like I tell everybody thinks it's like flying around in helicopters and parachuting into missions and stuff like that, but 95% of training is being absolutely soaking wet, freezing to death somewhere, or the exact opposite, in the middle of the desert, burning up, training. Like, there's no, like, you don't just leave your desk and jump on a plane and parachute in someplace and start popping people. So, yeah, and I tell people, everybody, I got 3 dudes in training right now, and I got like 15 of them in the teams right now, and they're all at a shock when they realize the op tempo that they're actually at, right? So you spend the first, call it 3 years, working, 320 days a year, roughly 300 days a year, away, like not on deployment, just training.
Yep.
And so a lot of people don't, they don't realize that. They're like, holy smokes, man, like.
Is that similar to Special Forces? I'm thinking of a friend I have whose husband is Special Forces, but I think he's been home 2 years out of the last 6, like when you count.
Yeah, that's about right. Like, everybody's the same because, so like, all right, just look at the cycle. You do a workup cycle. The workup cycle now is roughly a year. Out of that year, you're going to sleep in your bed maybe 60 days a year, okay? Then you go on deployment for 7 months. You don't sleep in your bed at all there. So now in roughly, call it, 18 months or 19 months, you've been home for 60 days. Then when you come back from deployment, you want to go to sniper school. So then you go to sniper school for 4 months. So if you're a SEAL, you're in Indiana. If you go to Marine Corps sniper training, you're in Quantico, right? Or Cherry Point. I don't know where Marine Corps sniper school is. Okay, but bottom line is you're gone for another 4 months. Maybe you flew home on the weekends a couple times, but probably not. Then you get done with that. They say, hey, we're going to send you to free fall jump master school. And you go to jump master school for a month. Then you come back from that, and they're like, hey, we're going to send you to high-speed driving school. And then you go, hey, and the next thing you know, like your 6-month downtime in between platoons, your platoon stood back up, and now you're on another workup.
Yep, that's bananas.
Yeah, so then, it's the same cycle. A year of training, 60 days in your bed, another 7-month deployment, and the deployment.
Love it, though. At least, when I think of her husband, like, I can't imagine him doing anything else,
Yeah, it just has a finite lifespan, right? Like, I tell everybody, I got to do this done 19 deployments, right? And yeah, he's got 19 deployments, but he also lost his whole family over the deal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those deals where it's a young man's game. If I had went in when I was 18, I probably would have did, 10, 15 years, but I went in when I was 27. I got out when I was 31, and it was there was some pain involved with it. Now, the Green Berets and CAG are a little different because they don't even go in until they're in their 30s. So they, but like, and they've changed a lot of stuff to try to make it a little easier on the body, but we call it dog years. You're aging in dog years as far as your body's concerned. So that makes it tough, right?
So, can you think of, too, going back to TBI, like, should the military have a policy that, like, hey, if you've had this many concussions or this many that, you're going to be pulled out? Like, do you think that that's a road that they could take?
It's impossible. It's impossible.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. There's some guys over at Dev Group that probably have $20 million of training. Maybe more than that. Are you going to pull that $20 million of training and experience out for his health?
True.
You're not going to do it, right? You got too much money invested in that person.
Yeah.
And if they're willing to go at risk, it's probably no different than some professional sports leagues,
sure.
Right?
They're cheering for it, like it is what it is.
Yeah, like everybody knows the risk.
And they're not. I'm sure most of these guys, if they're getting a concussion or being knocked unconscious, they're not reporting it.
I mean, they may report it. They may. So a lot of guys have now. They got electronic medical files, and so a little bit in the past, we would just have the corpsman document it all, and we had a separate medical file that we would keep that we put everything in at the end when we got out.
Gotcha. But now it's all electronic.
Yeah, now it's electronic. It's a little bit difficult.
So let me see what I have here. What made you finally seek help? You kind of shared how it happened, and that you were pushed. Were your symptoms just kind of just coming one on top of another, and you just couldn't do it?
I had a meeting over at Finley. So I coach college football, and I had a meeting, and I was in the meeting, and I couldn't remember what I wanted to talk about. And so that was 2015, and I pushed the panic button then.
That's when you were ready.
Yeah, and I just started to learn a lot more about it, and I understood what was going on, and we started doing this. The good thing is now you got Google, right? But really, for me, I got Jeff, right? Because Jeff has been dealing with it for the last 10 years as a Green Beret. Mm-hmm. And he's a corpsman, and so he's on that side of 18 Delta. So he helps me out immensely because he's got all the research, and it's something he's passionate about. So, that's who sent me to the Cleveland Clinic. That's how I got to the Cleveland Clinic. So, everybody got guys. They got the Oasis group in the Army, and, we got the UDT Foundation that has a big plan set up now. So, like I said before, we're kind of insular in that there's only, there's 2,500 active SEALs. Yeah, so, and everybody knows each other, and, you got a problem over here, the solution gets out pretty quick.
That's good. I like that, because I think that's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
What are you doing specifically, with your friends? You kind of mentioned having, an intervention.
Yep.
What are you advocating for? What are you pushing for, with your friends, whether it's just in your groups or, publicly?
It just depends on, my guy had a major kind of incident happened in his life, and, I still think he probably needs counseling, to be honest with you, but I also know him, and he probably ain't gonna go to counseling. So, it wasn't the bottom. Now, we'll see what happens, right? It's one of those situations where you just gotta wait and see what happens. Because you can't make anybody do anything, right? I'll be the first one to say, I'm not making a grown man do anything, even if his life depends on it. You know what I'm saying? If he offs himself, then I'm not gonna cry about it. I'll feel sad for my normal 24 hours, but I did what I could do for him.
Right. You came forward, but in the end, it has to be their decision to
Mm-hmm.
help.
So
lead me into that.
Yeah.
I kind of share with you, I finished my master's in social work, and my goal is to be a social worker for the VA. I want to work with veterans.
Okay.
Tell people like me or civilians or people who are working in the VA, how can we help these guys? What can we do?
I really here's what I'm gonna tell you. I don't think a social worker can do anything for a spec ops guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's got to be another spec ops guy.
I've heard that.
I don't listen to social workers. Mm-hmm. Right? You're a social worker. I'm a savage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know, that makes sense.
Yeah, I listen to other savages. So, because what works for the normal populace don't work for me. And I'm willing to do 10 times more than the normal populace is willing to do. So therefore, normal populace rules don't apply to me, right? You counsel me and tell me to do something, I'm I don't need to do that. Mm-hmm. So I just think it's hard for guys and ladies that haven't been out there to really understand kind of what the real trauma is all about.
Yeah. I went to, we had a social work conference last week, and I went to the workshop talking about PTSD and TBI, and there's a lady there who used to work specifically, with veterans in the VA.
Yep.
She said the same thing, it doesn't matter what she knows or the fact that, she has a family background in the military. These guys want to talk to another veteran. They want to talk to someone who's been there, who gets it.
Yep. That's just part of it, right? Like it's hard to get through to us. It's interesting. One of the number one top mental skills that an Olympic person has is stubbornness. And you take anybody in spec ops, and they're all stubborn. Like they wouldn't be in spec ops if they weren't stubborn, right? Like it's going to take a lot to get that guy to really understand what he needs to do versus what he wants to do.
When you got to that point, I mean, really, it didn't take you as long as it takes some other guys. Do you think?
No, but like I tell you, like I'm trying to be a superstar, right? So anything that diminishes the shine on my star, and I'm immediately trying to fix it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to wait until I can't even complete a sentence and I can't walk before I start trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
Yeah, no, you're being proactive.
Yeah, and now I got it all kind of stabilized and just laid down. Like I'm happy, but it doesn't change like all the stuff I got to do every day.
Right. That's not
yeah. Nope.
So I guess last thoughts on the progression of treatment research and where we're heading. Like, do you feel good about it?
Well, it's interesting. I talk to Jeff all the time about it, and he said they got 5 tests right now that they can diagnose CTE in a living person. And I asked him, I said, well, why aren't we able to use those tests? He said, because there's too much money at stake with it, right? There's too much money at stake for a person to say, hey, I got CTE from playing in this football game, or I got CTE from playing in this soccer game, or, hey, I'm an E3 and I got 2 combat deployments with the Marines, and I've got crisis level, level 3 CTE as a result of combat. Here's my pre-CTE screen of 10, and here's my post-to deployment screen of 95.
Oh my goodness.
Right? And according to Jeff, if you're in combat arms, you get CTE 100%. Like, 100%. And he said that they...
I didn't know that. I thought it was still you had to, when you passed on, they had to dissect your brain and, actually look at it to be able to detect it.
So there's a pre and a post MRI. He said the big one, and then they got 4 other tests that they can tell you 100% exactly what you got going on. He said, but they...
new MRI they were talking about when we were at the conference?
He said a standard MRI. So you get standard MRI pre and post, and you can see where the blood flow and everything else is limited.
Okay.
And this is a conversation I had with him probably 3 or 4 years, so there's probably some new stuff. It'll be interesting to see with the new super MRI machine that we're getting, because I'm going over there to get that thing. So.
Yeah. When are you doing that?
I don't know. They don't even have it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we get it until next summer, so.
It'll be a while.
Yeah, but I'm in with all those guys, so hopefully I'll get a chance to go over there and check it out, see what they got.